This is a brief video demonstration on my latest scripting endeavor. To keep things simple, we are going to call it the Sniper Tower. What is the Sniper Tower? Well, it's that thing. What does it do? Well, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to briefly explain how it works. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and step into this bad boy's kill zone and see how it functions. Alright, so already we can deduce that we have quite a couple things going on. One is the tower is constantly looking at us. 2, the tower is constantly firing at us. 3, the tower spins up faster before it shoots. And 4, it does explosive damage with a little bit of aftermath damage of a little splash of electricity that just kind of hangs around on the ground. Well earned kill. Good job, Sniper Tower. I'm proud of you. So, let's go ahead and have a look under the hood and see how this thing operates. Alright, first things first, we've got a nice big area monitor. This thing is pretty much what I dub the kill zone. Once player steps in here, they are marked as a variable, and the tower is got its eyes set on you. So, where are we doing that? We're doing that right here. Once a player steps in, or once an object steps in, and on the condition that object is a player, we're going to set that player as a variable. And then we are going to use that variable to make pretty much every other function in this happen. Firstly, we need the tower to look at us. How do we do that? Well, we do that right here. So we're going to take our object variable and we're going to get its position, then we're going to subtract that position from the tower's position. And the specific position we're talking about is this guy right here. Oh, pardon me. So it's this guy right here. It's this light that's spinning around doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it's just kind of chilling up there. But yeah, reference that guy in here. We're going to subtract those vectors and do the math necessary in order to get it to look at the player. This varies across several different props. It will be different for every prop. You kind of just got to finagle with it and figure out exactly what you need, or if you're a brilliant mathematician, you might just know. But so we're going to take those values and plug them into set object rotation. As for the x value, we are looking at this function up here. This function up here is the one that is basically determining how fast it starts to spin. And to rephrase that a little more accurately, all this is doing is making it spin faster and faster over time on the condition that a player has entered the area. And so what we do is, as it spins, we have it increase acceleration until it finally fires. And that is what is happening over here. So again, on the condition that the object that we're looking at is a player, we are going to set the number variable to 5. And what that variable is right there is actually our, not necessarily our deceleration of the spin, but that is what we are going to set it to every time it fires. So it's going to go straight down to this speed. All right. So after we fire, we start getting into this kind of little choo-choo train of nodes going all the way down the line here. All of this right here is actually not too terribly important, except for a few key moments. What this boils down to at the end of the day is polish. This is polish. This is what makes it look nice. This is all our effects. This is our explosions. This is just everything that makes it look nice and pretty and presentable, and not like a blank thing firing with nothing happening. So what I did for damage-wise is our explosion is linked to, it has its own area monitor, and our electric floor also has its own area monitor. The explosion area monitor, I believe, is over yonder somewhere. Let's have a gander. Yep, so here's the area monitor for the explosion. I have the explosion set to do 80 damage on impact, and then for the electric floor, every n seconds for each player that is in the area, we are going to damage them for 10 for every 0.3 seconds. So that's where that damage is coming from. Now, if we go back over here, man, where even was I? Man, I get lost in my own head. Well, I guess I'll talk about one other feature, since I seem to have lost my train of thought. This part right here is probably one of the more important features that I think was something that I had to get figured out for this turret, and that was basically having the object travel a set speed regardless of the distance that the player is at. So if you're familiar with translate to point, you know that you have to set a duration. And with that duration is usually, you know, something like 1, 5, 6, whatever, however many seconds you want it to take. But as a result, it will take that amount of time regardless of your distance. So what we are going to do is we are going to take our beautiful little magical variable that we took in the beginning. We're going to get its position, do our wonderful subtract vectors to point at what we're trying to do, get that result, and we're going to get the length of that result. So subtracting these, we're taking that total number, and we're going to divide that sucker by 200. So I think as far as the units of measurement, I'm just going to say feet. We'll say that our object is traveling at 200 feet per second. So that is the math behind getting that speed, and then we just kind of plug that sucker in right up here. So now the translate object to point is always going to be that. It was pretty neat. I had a lot of fun figuring that one out, and I was really excited to have it happen. This down here is nothing more than just making sure all our objects delete once the game starts. But honestly, there's really not much more than that. The only thing that I may have forgotten to mention is on object entered area, or object exited area, we set the object variable back to the little spiral right here, which is this guy's default position to point to when it doesn't have a player to look at. And since this thing is not a player, it will not fire. It's just going to sit there and spin in place and look nice and pretty. As a quick demonstration, I will show you how it sits there and spins and looks nice and pretty. So yeah, now you not only do you have a cool big sniper turret, you've got a nice little set piece that people will definitely not want to get near. Who knows? Maybe you can do something like put a capture the flag under there. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that goes into this turret. Right now is the part of the video where you don't necessarily need to stick around, but this is the part where I just kind of ramble about what went into this thing and how I kind of got to this point. So firstly, I said in the beginning that this guy, or at least I hope I said in the beginning, that this guy is the amalgamation of everything that I've learned up to this point. So firstly, we got our rotation, and then we have our rotation acceleration, so spinning faster based on certain conditions. The math for this guy is way different than that guy, so if you do get on this map, don't reference this one to try and make that happen. We come over here, we've got our vectors that are keeping track of our position, nice and simple. Then we have what I believe was probably the hardest thing to figure out in Forge so far, and that was getting an object to look at a specific area. This guy is coded to point to where I mark. You may remember if I had a video that had a trash can turret above my head that would shoot at wherever I mark. And then the very last thing that I did over here, which is where I learned to grab player variables in order to get their position, is my little smart floor that I made. So when you step out over here, the smart floor catches you and it stays exactly where you are, and it's working beautifully right now, much better than when I actually recorded the video for it, where I was getting tons of packet losses and everything sucked. You can even slide with this guy underneath you. But yeah, it's just a whole lot of little things that go into one really big thing. So if I could put this into perspective for anybody that is watching and might be fascinated with the process at all, I am somebody who had no form of scripting or programming knowledge at all on the week that Forge released. I started right here. Not with this script specifically. What I actually started with was on crouch, give a weapon. And I struggled a lot with that. It actually took me an entire day to figure that out. But so I went from, something small like this, just getting an object to rotate, to making something like this. And all I'm really trying to say with that is, if you are looking here to try and make something happen and you're seeing this and you're going, oh my god, what the heck am I, just kind of flabbergasted at what the heck is going on right here, don't let it put you down, because this is not one long genius script all working off of different things. This is a bunch of tiny little things that you set up one at a time and then eventually put them all together. So I hope that serves as a good inspiration to not get deterred or dissuaded from trying out stuff like this. Because honestly, if you have something that you need to figure out, you just need to figure out one function at a time. So you need to figure out the spinning. All right, first get the spinning down. Okay, then you need to figure out the firing. All right, make a different script brain that fires, etc., etc. it's just taking everything in nice little chunks. You know, you don't eat the entire dinner in one bite. You go a little bit at a time. But I don't really have many more words to share other than the fact that I'm honestly really proud of myself for making this thing. This was really hard. I never saw myself making something like this and also keeping it so neat and tidy. Look how pretty it is. I love it. Alright, now I'm just getting weird. But I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here before I get weird and start making love to my sniper turret on stream. You guys have an amazing day. Oh, and before I go, as always, I leave all my scripts laying around this map, Mild Strife's Playground. It is available for download. You're free to come here and prefab whatever you like, whatever you may need for whatever reason. So, without further ado, enjoy.